Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is no value. It's a bubble.
Bitcoin may well be a substitute for gold.
Bitcoin is something that you've been interested in and supportive of. In fact, one can pay for a tour on Virgin Galactic up to the moon with Bitcoin. I think the Winklevoss twins have said that they would do exactly that. You think this is a currency that's really going to work eventually?
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it that may be even better. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin, and people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin. Some people have lost money out of Bitcoin.
It's volatile. It's volatile.
Yeah, but it is quite volatile. But when in volatility, people can make money out of volatile situations.
Why was it important for you to give it sort of that stamp of approval, that endorsement, by saying to the Winklevoss twins, yes, you can pay for the ride with Bitcoin?
Because I'm not foolish. I mean, if people have got lots of Bitcoins and they want to go to space, I'd much rather they spend that money on our spaceship. Whether I keep it in Bitcoins is another matter. But I'd much rather they spend that money on a Virgin Galactic spaceship than on, Elon will be sending people to space one day on Elon's spaceship. So we'll grab the money while it's there.
Bill, Charlie and Warren have weighed in on Bitcoin. Do you own any?
Somebody gave me some for my birthday, and then a few years later I thought, hey, I'm going to sell that. So no, there's some really good technology in terms of sharing databases and verifying transactions. Is talked about as blockchain. That is a good thing. Bitcoin and ICOs, I agree completely. It's one of the crazier speculative things where it's not as an asset class. You're not producing anything, and so you shouldn't expect it to go up. It's kind of a pure greater fool theory type investment. So I agree. I would short it if there was an easy way to do it.
Do you think Bitcoin will be disruptive in that way? I mean, now it's a speculative currency. Will it be something that will be what normal consumers will use and will disrupt the banking industry?
Now, my opinion of Bitcoin is that, I think Bitcoin is probably a good thing, but it's essentially, its main thing will be, I mean, this will probably get quoted here and there, but I think it's primarily going to be a means of doing illegal transactions. But that's not necessarily entirely bad, because some things maybe shouldn't be illegal. But
a combination of Silk Road and Bitcoin will save us?
Well, it will be useful for legal and illegal transactions. Otherwise, it would have no value as a use for a legal transaction, because you have to have a legal to illegal bridge. Yeah. I don't own any Bitcoin. Well,
I could care less about Bitcoin. I don't know why I said anything about it. The blockchain is a technology, which is a good technology. We actually use it. It will be used for a lot of different things. God bless the blockchain. Cryptocurrencies and digital currencies, I think are also fine. JP Morgan moves $6 trillion around the world every day. We don't do it in cash. It's done digitally. If it can be done digitally with the blockchain, so be it. But it'll still be a dollar cryptocurrency. What I have an issue with is a non-fiat cryptocurrency. Dollar, so crypto, sterling, euro, yen, they're all fine. I don't personally understand the value of something that has no actual value. You all can do whatever you want, and I don't care. Okay?
All right. That sounds definitive. Bitcoin hit a new high today.
I could care less what Bitcoin trades for, how it trades, why it trades, who trades it. If you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day. I've also told people that it can trade at $100,000 before it trades to zero. Tulip bulbs traded for $75,000 once, something like that. The only value of a Bitcoin is what the other guy will pay for it. And I think, honestly, there's a good chance that Bitcoin, a lot of the buyers out there are up there jazzing up every day, so that maybe you'll buy it too and take them out. And I quite mean that, by the way. These people are very good at manipulating the press these days and getting news out. And so every day, you have CNBC, nonstop Bitcoin. Who cares about Bitcoin? I mean, the world economy is so big. We move, JP Morgan alone, these companies, $6 trillion. We move all this money. And Bitcoin in total is all these currencies are $50 billion, maybe $1 billion trades a day. And the other thing I've always made of Bitcoin, governments, and this is not a technological statement, governments are going to crush it one day. Governments like to know where the money is, who has it, and what you're doing with it, and in case you haven't noticed. And governments like to control their currency. like to control their own economy. So China's already put curbs on it. Japan, they say Japan accepted Bitcoin. No, they didn't. What I gathered Japan did was they call it J-coin. It's a yen cryptocurrency. It's not a non-fiat. And there's a big difference. Someone said, people have said legitimately, okay, it's close to gold. Not really. Gold is limited and has been around a long time, and it's close to a fiat currency. Not really. A fiat currency is where the government says, this is your legal tender. You have to give it and accept it. And there's a central bank. Now, of course, they can misuse it, the central bank, and inflate it. So there is a use case for Bitcoin. If you live in Venezuela, North Korea, if you're a criminal. Great product. But this is the last time I'm ever going to answer a question about Bitcoin, because I really don't care. I also pointed out, when I made that stupid statement, which got all the thing, I called it fraud, my daughter sent me an email saying, Dad, I own 2 Bitcoins. My formerly smart daughter.
Have you developed a view on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? And what is BlackRock doing about them?
Well, I believe in blockchains. We're looking at many blockchains. We created provider Aladdin, which is really a blockchain between us and the clients.
But that's the underlying technology.
But it's a private blockchain, okay? But we believe if we can create more and more flow through information by having all the different reference points of a transaction being systematized, that's good. Related to cryptocurrencies, I'm a big believer in the potential of what a cryptocurrency can do. You see huge opportunities in it, but what we're talking about today, it's really much more of a speculative. People are speculating on it, but most importantly, what I think about most of these cryptocurrencies, it just identifies how much money laundering there is being done in the world, how much people are trying to move currencies from one place to another. So I actually believe you're seeing the demand for it, but let's be clear, if we created a true global digital currency, I hate the word crypto, a digitized currency, then then you would not have money laundering anymore. You would have everything understood, everything would be flowing through, everything would be identified. You could see all the application, except I'm horrified on one point. How do we preserve the system from cyber problems? Because if the whole world is using this one network for financial transaction, it presents a lot of systemic risk.
Is it time yet for BlackRock to either trade in digital assets or digital virtual currencies, if you prefer, or to create a product for your clients?
We're not hearing any demand from any of our clients, other than maybe some speculative stuff. We're being asked that question, but it's more of like a venture capital type of interchange, but we're not hearing clients saying we want to use this as an asset class. No.
It's not an institutional thing yet.
It's far from that. As I said, it's much more of a speculative platform for Asia, and it's heavily used for money laundering.
Bitcoin's the only proven digital property that we have created in the world. We have created a property and not a security. The definition of property is a common commodity that is beyond the control of any one individual or corporation. If something is deemed property in a legal sense, it means it wouldn't be regulated as a security by the SEC. Gold is property. Soybeans are property. Wood, lumber, land is property. Bitcoin is property. Bitcoin is not regulated by the SEC. Bitcoin is property. It's the only thing we all agree on in the crypto marketplace, that Bitcoin is property. So first of all, if you look at the crypto ecosystem, there's crypto property, there's cryptocurrencies, there's crypto platforms, and there's crypto securities, and there's even crypto art. Right? These are just asset classes. Maybe there'll be crypto commodities. NFT is crypto art. It's like art cryptographically protected. Stablecoin is cryptocurrency. $1 or a euro moving on crypto rail. It's currency because I can move it as a medium of exchange without paying a tax bill on it. Ethereum's crypto platform. Right? People are building other things on that platform, and that's the principal appeal, smart contracts and the fact that you can build something. Bitcoin is crypto property. It is a long-term store of value, and And it is the dominant crypto property. And the way it establishes itself as crypto property is through Nakamoto consensus and proof of work. You have a decentralized mining network that is encrypting energy with the SHA-256 hash function in order to create this wall of encrypted energy. And this is a very bright line, property versus security. And as soon as you start to exercise influence over the protocol, it becomes a security. If you look at all the cryptos, there might be a dozen that you could debate are property, a debate. Of the ones that you could debate are property, there's one that's dominant, which is Bitcoin. The thing you need to know about Bitcoin is on Pizza Day, May 22nd, 2010, Bitcoin was trading for a couple of pennies for the first time in 15 months or something like that. The protocol hadn't changed and has not changed. When it was a penny, the protocols were all the same. Today, they're the same exact protocol. There was a war fought over this, the block size war. And the block size war, all of the powerful holders and miners and exchanges wanted to change the protocol and double the block size. It would have changed all the economics of Bitcoin forever, for the next 1,000 years. It would have screwed up the economics of the miners. It would have shifted the balance of power in favor of some holders versus others. That war was lost. The original Bitcoin protocol continued on, and that means it's an unadulterated protocol, and it's shown itself to be resistant to the influence of any group of people. That's what makes it property.
It's not a currency. I mean, it does not meet the test of a currency. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not around in 10 or 20 years.
Why does it not meet the definition of a currency?
Well, because people say, well, I'll sell you goods in Bitcoins, but they change the price of those every time the price of the dollar changes in relation to the Bitcoin. They're pricing off the dollar. They could say, well, I'll sell it to you in barrels of oil, but if every time the price of oil changes, they change the number of barrels you have to have. That's not, your oil is not the currency.
What excites you right now? What can you look at in the world today that you feel like, wow, that is a good idea, or that is really where the growth story is?
I do think people are a little bit are maybe underestimating Bitcoin specifically, because it's like a reserve form of money. It's like gold, and it's just a store of value. You don't actually need to use it to make payments. And it's been, there's about $70 billion worth of Bitcoin in the world. There's $9 trillion worth of gold. And if Bitcoin ends up being the cyber equivalent of gold, it has a great potential left. So it's a very different kind of thing from what people in Silicon Valley normally focus on. Companies, not algorithms or protocols. But this may be one exception that's very underestimated.
Let me ask you about Bitcoin. Okay. Bitcoin, people say the same thing. It's a store of value. You've got to have it diversified. The dollar's not safe.
There are two purposes of a currency. Is it a medium of exchange? And is it a storehold of wealth? Those are the basic ingredients. Bitcoin is not an effective medium of exchange by and large. And, if I have a Bitcoin, I want to go buy things. It's not easy to buy things with the Bitcoin. And in terms of a storehold of wealth more reflects, like gold, more reflects the opposite of what money is doing, right? And so you look at it, it's a storehold of wealth. Bitcoin is a speculative bubble, right? Its price is like a greater fool theory in terms of its price. If you say, what is its intrinsic value? If Bitcoin was made into a more effective medium of exchange and also operated in terms of a storehold of wealth, not of the reflection of that volatility, it would be a viable instrument. It is, to me, a vehicle for speculation that's attracting people in, and it has all the classic ingredients of a bubble. People are leveraging themselves up, and it doesn't have that same intrinsic value. Even the privacy value, okay, is suspicious. In other words, it has a purpose to some extent. If you're living in a country and you don't know your currency, whether it's going to be good or not, and you might try to hold that. But that thing you're holding is running around like crazy for reasons that you don't understand. And then, so it's not going to be an effective storehold of wealth. And the privacy will be stress tested. In other words, governments are examining who is operating in their own clever ways of what that, and so you can't even assume that so it's going to be a privacy vehicle. So I don't see the effectiveness of Bitcoin. I could see cyber currencies and so on, but cryptocurrencies. But this is not what we're having. It's a possibility that I think has been captured as a speculative vehicle that's in the middle of a bubble.
Cameron, I want you to explain Bitcoin for us. I mean, there are some people out there who they don't understand what Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
I went to the florist the other day, and the woman said to me, "My son is loving Bitcoin. He's making all this money. I don't know what it is, but." So, tell us why you initially got into this business and what Bitcoin is.
So we think Bitcoin is gold 2.0. It's a store of value, so today it's about a $300 billion market cap. Gold is at $6 trillion. So we think it could very well go up another 20 times from today. We've been saying this since when Bitcoin was a $1 billion market cap. We've been in Bitcoin for about 5 years. It's grown about 300 times to this point. So we think it's definitely realistic that it could grow and disrupt gold and maybe even beyond that.
So you think that it could actually replace gold as a safe haven or as a hedge?
As a store of value and a hedge, all those things that gold provides in a portfolio. If you look at the characteristics and properties of gold, like scarceability, portability, divisibility, fungibility, Bitcoin equals or surpasses gold. So gold is scarce. Bitcoin is actually fixed at 21 million. Bitcoin's divisible to 100 million pieces. It's way more portable. It's a 24/7 market. I can send Bitcoin to you on your phone right now or anywhere around the world. It's very easy to move.
What happens when I want to get out, when I want to cash in my Bitcoins and I want dollars?
Well, that's easy. You go to Gemini.com. We are a New York trust company. We've been building Gemini for 4 years so that you can go and sign up and buy and sell and store your Bitcoin in a safe, regulated manner. We are the same licensing structure that companies like State Street and Bank of New York started out as trust companies over 200 years ago. So we've taken sort of one of the oldest licensing regulatory frameworks and married it with one of the newest technologies in the world. It's not easy to do, but that's what we've been working on doing, and we think that's why SIBO was excited to work with us and price these Bitcoin futures with the Gemini price.
When I look at the dollar is backed by the full faith and trust of the U.S. government, the Treasury. What is Bitcoin backed by? Just Gemini?
So Bitcoin's, no. Gemini's a company on top of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's backed by cryptography, mathematics, and one of the largest computer networks in the world. The dollar being backed by the U.S. government, a lot of people would cynically say that's injecting counterparty risk. If the governments collapse, currencies or average lifespan is 27 years. Bitcoin's more like a gold. Gold's been around for thousands of years. So as long as this math, persists and the security of cryptography that's never been hacked on Bitcoin, and as long as the network and people continue to believe in it the same way they believe in United States as a country or gold as a commodity, then Bitcoin will have value. It's also open source and it can evolve and grow over time. So the Bitcoin, when we first got into Bitcoin, is a very different source code than today. Obviously, the fundamentals and the rules are very similar. There's always been 21 million. It's fixed. Gold's not fixed. It's scarce. We find gold all the time, and people joke about how asteroids have gold, and eventually maybe someone will let Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos will find gold up there. Bitcoin's actually fixed. So I don't think you have to totally understand Bitcoin to use it, to buy it and invest in it in an asset class. Similar to most people don't understand how email works, but they use it and they get the benefits of email. So, we've been learning for the past 5 years and we'll continue to learn about Bitcoin. But I think the easiest way to think about Bitcoin is really to analogize it to gold. That's a very good framework of thinking about it.
I don't have any Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies basically have no value and they don't produce anything. So you can look at your little ledger item for the next 20 years and it says you've got X of this cryptocurrency or that. It doesn't reproduce, it doesn't deliver, it can't mail you a check, it can't do anything. And what you hope is that somebody else comes along and pays you more money for it later on. But then that person's got the problem. But in terms of value, zero.
Is it true that you're building out a cryptocurrency capability?
no. I mean, we're looking at it. As I said in the past, we are very excited about blockchain technology. That's what we're looking at, even in the Aladdin universe, what we're trying to do there. So we're looking at blockchain technologies, and we're looking at all the
blockchain isn't crypto. Blockchain is just the underlying technology.
Well, that's the most important thing. Whether it is a cryptocurrency, we're studying them to see how they're performing. And it may be, it may be.
Don't your clients want crypto exposure?
No, I don't believe any client has sought out crypto exposure.
Really?
Yes.
But at some point they might. Do you need to be prepared?
I don't, at the moment, no.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Goldman Sachs is building out a cryptocurrency trading desk. Morgan Stanley is doing the same thing.
I'm not in the trading
JP Morgan's doing the same thing.
Yes, because there's elements of people who are looking to trade it. I have not heard from any one client they're looking to buy a cryptocurrency at this time. When it becomes more legitimatized, when it has the true open nature of it, that you identify who the players are on both sides, that's when we'll probably look at it as an alternative to all currencies. But I have
right now. You are aware. Then you are.
What do you mean?
Just studying it.
We're studying it. We're looking how they perform. We're looking at that type of data to understand it as we think about other products. But right now, I can tell you it worldwide. I have not heard from one client who said, I need to be in this.
Honestly, I'm not that big fan of Bitcoins. But I pay special attention to the cashless society, blockchain technology. Bitcoin, the thing I want to know is that what value, what things that the Bitcoin can bring to the society. But behind the Bitcoin, the technology itself, really very powerful. So my job and Alibaba Alipay's job is trying to making sure that we will move, the world will move into a cashless society. The society can make everybody equal, make everybody inclusive to get the money they need, and making sure it's sustainable, inclusive, and transparent. I hate corruption. I don't have opportunity, it's okay. But I don't want somebody through dirty way take away my opportunity. This is why we want a cashless society. But Bitcoin, we watch it very carefully. I would not say I'm a fan of Bitcoins. I'm always also as curious as you are. And I don't think I'm expert on that. I don't pretend I know. There's one thing that I want to share with all of you one day when you do business or do whatever. If you don't know, it's not shameful. But if you don't know, but you pretend you know, it is very shameful. I don't know about Bitcoins.
Bitcoin is worthless artificial gold, which if it succeeded would facilitate a lot of illicit activity. Now that is not something I think the world needs. And the fact that it's clever computer science doesn't mean that it should be widely used and that respectable people should encourage other people to speculate in it. Bitcoin reminds me of Oscar Wilde's definition of fox hunting, the pursuit of the uneatable by the unspeakable.
The need to move money from place to place, the cost of doing so, the overhead, as you put it, makes me think, believe it or not, of Bitcoin, because some people have said, hey, Bitcoin is the answer to those problems. Are you a believer?
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place, and of course for large transactions currency can get pretty inconvenient. The customers we're talking about aren't trying to be anonymous. They're willing to be known. So the Bitcoin technology is key, and you could add to it, or you could build a similar technology where there's enough attribution that people feel comfortable. This has nothing to do with terrorism or any type of money laundering.
If you're right about Bitcoin, something that's now lasted something along the lines of 15 years. If in fact you're right, and this is not just rat poison squared, but is not a thing, when it would be unveiled as not a thing?
That's predicting when speculation will end, or when the gambling instinct will go away, and when more people want to get out than are getting in. And I have no way of. If I thought I was good at that, I'd figure out a way to make a lot of money and different things. All I'm trying to do is buy good businesses. But the one thing I know is I didn't like chain letters when I was a kid. I thought, why in the world should I send along a chain letter to the next guy when I could start my own? I mean, I've seen people do stupid things all my life, and I empathize with that. I mean, people like to play the lottery. They're going to get 60 cents back on the dollar or whatever the number may be, and states. Essentially, the numbers racket was something that you avoided, and then the government decided it was a source of revenue, and it's very hard to tell people that if they're going to put a tax on a sure loser for society, for the gamblers on the lottery on the whole, but they're appealing to the gambling instinct, and I mean, people love the idea they're going to make more money tomorrow, and it really drives them crazy if their next door neighbor is making a lot of money not knowing what they're doing, and they're just sitting there, and their spouse is saying, why is that guy getting a second car, and why are we missing this whole thing? And the gambling instinct is so strong, and you had millions of people that were getting checks in the money and sitting home and finding out that they could have a roulette wheel in their house, and they had all the appeals of gambling and that are used to get people to go to Las Vegas, and you can do it in your home, and they had money, and we've had an explosion of gambling, essentially. And I like to bet on a football game if I'm sitting and watching. It makes it more interesting, but I don't think I want to make a living trying to bet against the house. If I were to get into gambling, I would want to own the roulette wheel and not be a roulette player.
In my life, I try and avoid things that are stupid and evil and make me look bad in comparison with somebody else. And Bitcoin does all three. In the first place, it's stupid because it's very likely to go to zero. The second place, it's evil because it undermines the Federal Reserve System and the national currency system, which we desperately need to maintain its integrity and government control and so on. And third, it makes us look foolish compared to the communist leader in China. He was smart enough to ban Bitcoin in China. And with all of our presumed advantages of civilization, we are a lot dumber than the communist leader in China.
You don't own Bitcoin.
No, I do not own one. I don't own any cryptocurrency. I never will. And, in the end, I may start a war on currency. Maybe I can create one, and I'll say there's only going to be 21 million of them, and you can have a little ledger sheet from me and everything that says you have it, and you can have it after I die, but you can't do anything with it except sell it to somebody else. And the interesting thing, of course, is that Bitcoin's been out there a long time, and people talked about how it would be used in various kinds of exchange, but none of our companies are doing business in Bitcoin or anything. Bitcoin has been used, I think, to move around a fair amount of money illegally. So the people
maybe in countries where you have
the logical move from the introduction of Bitcoin is to go short suitcases, because the money that was taken in suitcases from one country to another, suitcases will probably fall off in demand. I mean, so you can look at that as the economic contribution of Bitcoin to the society as a